Omajnana Trimendasya Gana Gana Salakaya Chaksusmilta Yena Tasma Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobishta Stabhita Yena Bhutali Sayarupa Kadamaya Dadanti Swampadantika Vandeha Sri Guru Sita Padakamana Sri Guru Vaishnava Sri Rupan Sakajata Sahagana Raghunatha Tapitan Sajivan Sadaitan Sagana Raghunatha Sajivan Sri Radha Krishna Parasahagana Lalita Sri Vishakavitan Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantu Radha Kanta Namosate Tata Kanchana Gorange Radha Vrindavan Pishabhanu Suchadevi Panamami Haripi Vanjaka Patrubhyascha Kripa Sindhivi Vachapati Tanam Pavana Vibhyo Vajna Vibhyo Namo Nama Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prima Padayate Krishna Ya Krishna Chaitanya Mene Gorati Siddhama Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namo. So, I thank everyone for being here this evening for our continued discussion of the Bhagavad-Gita. So today, we'll be reading from the chapter 7 of the Bhagavad-Gita, text 20. So Lord Krishna is discussing with Arjuna, giving him the knowledge of the absolute truth, which means knowledge of himself. So Krishna is giving knowledge of himself to Arjuna, describing his material energy and spiritual energy. The Lord described in the beginning of the chapter, in text number 24, the Lord talks about the four elements. Bhumya Punalova Yukamana Bodhiyavicha Ahankar Itiyame Bina Prakriti Ashtara. So the Lord talks about the four energies, four material energy. And these energies, they are described to be separated energy, which means they are not part of its internal energy, even though they are the lost energy, but they are temporary in nature. They manifest sometimes, and after sometimes they get removed, and they go back into the totality of material, into the material nature, which is called pradhan. Pradhan is the totality of material elements, whereby everything is there in a seed form, and it's from there all the material elements they've generated. They've come from there. So this material element, even though they are described to be temporary, but in a sense, when they are separated from the original cause, the pradhan, so they are temporary. Again become merged into the into the totality. Once the lost energy is eternal, it's not that the lost energy is temporary. His energy, because he is eternal, his energy also is eternal. But the manifestation is temporary. Just like we build a house. 720. So we build a house, and then from the house has contained so many elements that cement, whatever, irons, different items are used to build a house. So the house is there, even though originally all the elements originally come from the earth. So when the house is there, and then after many years, maybe the house becomes very, very old, and nobody seems to be interested anymore. So the house is broken down, and everything goes back into the earth, become again match with it. Of course, here in India, they don't, not so much breaking of the house here, but in the West, especially in America, it's very common that when buildings become too old, they just knock them down. That's very common in the West. But here in India, they don't do that. I never see a house being torn down in India. They just let it stay. You know, as they say, utility is the principle. So the element, when the composition, I mean the fabrications and all that, people living inside, so that is temporary. And again, in due course of time, that fabrication is knocked down, then it goes back to into the totality of earth. So that totality of earth is eternal. It's always there. But when the elements become fabricated, so that is temporary. So when we say this material world is temporary, so we are talking of that fabrication. When Lord Brahma is giving the energy to power to manifest, to engineer the universe. And then again, at the end, again, everything goes back into the body of Mahavishnu. So the Lord said, being a Prakriti yesterday, he said, but this material energy of mine is my separate energy. But the Lord said, but there's another nature of mine, which is eternal, which is always there. So that is spiritual nature. So he said that Mama Maya Duratya, he said that Prakriti Stani is that Prakriti Stani Astada. So the Lord is talking about those entities who are influenced by his material energy, and those entities who are influenced by his material energy. So by his spiritual energy, it's called Atma Maya, which means my own energy. So that Atma Maya, that is Krishna's energy, the internal potency. And which means because the spiritual world is made up of spiritual energies of love, which is always eternal, Satchit Ananda. It's always eternally formed. It's also blissful. There's no cessation. There's no particular time when everything cease to exist. It's always there. So the devotees also, because the devotees have taken shelter of the law of the Lord's lotus feet, so they become part of that, internal potency of the Lord. They become part of it, the devotees. So the devotees of the Lord, they are under the care, the shelter of the spiritual energy, the Lord's own potency. In this case, the Ladini Shakti of the Lord, like that. So here, the Lord is making a big distinction between those who have different types of inclination to worship. First of all, the Lord talks about those who take shelter of Him, and whose souls who are considered to be those who actually take shelter of the Lord. The Lord said that they are very, very, very rare. The Lord said it, some Mahatmas Sudulaba, they are the great souls who take shelter of my spiritual energy, which means they don't desire any kind of a separated enjoyment for this material world. Separated. They don't want to, who don't want to enjoy again, separately from the Lord. So those kind of entities, they are very, very rare. Because after all, in this world, everyone wants to enjoy. Everyone wants to be the master of what they can survey. So that is the nature of this material world. Everybody thinking that is God. But the devotees don't think that way. Devotees, they are simply the servant of God, the servant of Krishna. But for one to develop such a mentality of being the Lord's servant is a very, very rare source. A very, very rare. Not too many. So this whole chapter is all about the distinction between those great souls who have taken shelter of the Lord and those entities whose intelligence is considered to be very meager, very small intelligence, who are foolish intelligence, and who think that yes, this material world is to be enjoyed, and if there is some obstacles in terms of the enjoyment, like let's say there is disease, they have disease, or they have some certain need, like say, to be learned or to be wealthy, all these things. So some of those entities start thinking that maybe there must be some powerful personalities who I can worship, who can give me, who can fulfill my need. So such kind of person, they start worshiping the demigods, because they come to know that yes, the demigods are very, very powerful, especially the sun god. The sun god can cure disease, can cure your disease if you worship him. You worship Indra, or if you worship the wife of Lord Shiva, you can get good wife. Or if you worship Lord Shiva himself, you can be very wealthy. Many demigods are there who can fulfill various necessities of life. So people, because they think that, okay, let me worship this demigod so that they can fulfill my need. So Lord Krishna says, those kind of persons, Lord Krishna is describing them here in the verse which we are reading today, 7:20. So the Lord says, Kamai sta rita gyanam, papadyantyam yadevataha, tam niyaman ashtaya, prakritya niyata swaya. So this is Bhagavad-Gita 7th chapter, text number 20. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Those whose intelligence is very, very small, meager. Kama Sakta Rita Rita actually means to be deprived of something. Those who are considered foolish, deprived of knowledge. So they think that yes, because being deprived of knowledge, their hearts, their intelligence become polluted, and then they become filled with material desires. So therefore, they surrender to demigods. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said, those who are freed from all material contaminations surrender unto the Supreme Lord and engage in his devotional service. As long as the material contamination is not completely washed off, they are by nature non-devotees. But even those who have material desires and who resort to the Supreme Lord are not so much attracted by external nature. Because of approaching the right goal, they soon become free from all material lust. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is recommended that whether one is a pure devotee and is free from all material natures, from all material desires, or is full of material desires, or desires liberation from material contamination, he should in all cases surrender to Vasudeva and worship him. As stated in the Bhagavatam, Akaman Savakamo Va Mokshakama Udaradhi Tivrena bhakti-yogena Yajeta Purushan Param. Less intelligent people who have lost their spiritual sense take shelter of demigods for immediate fulfillment of material desires. Generally, such people do not go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they are in the lower modes of nature, ignorance and passion, and therefore worship various demigods. Following the rules and regulations of worship, they are satisfied. The worshippers of demigods are motivated by small desires and do not know how to reach the supreme goal. But a devotee of the Supreme Lord is not misguided, because in Vedic literature there are recommendations for worshipping different gods for different purposes. Example, a diseased man is recommended to worship the sun. Those who are not devotees of the Lord think that for certain purposes, demigods are better than the Supreme Lord. But a pure devotee knows that the Supreme Lord Krishna is the master of all. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said, Ekale Ishwara Krishna Araswabha Bhritya. Only the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is master, and all others are servants. Therefore, a pure devotee never goes to demigods for satisfaction of his material needs. He depends on the Supreme Lord, and the pure devotee is satisfied with whatever he gives. So the difference between the pure devotees or the devotee of the Lord and the non-devotees is given here, because in this world, even though people may have some kind of understanding, maybe they might have heard of the Supreme Lord, that how he's the possessor of everything, that everything comes from him, still people would rather worship demigods, because the demigods, they can fulfill, basically whatever desire. And of course, we know that there are so many demigods, and each one has only one particular capability. So which means you cannot go to one demigod and get all your desires fulfilled, like getting freedom from sickness, getting a good wife, good progeny, longevity, not being, let's say, being protected from the enemies. So many disturbances in life are there. So one demigod cannot give one relief from all those, from everything. So one needs to worship individual demigods. That's why generally you go to any Hindu family, you will see, on the altar, you will see so many devas. You will see so many demigods on the altar. Like you see this one, Chandra Dev, Agni Dev, this different. You find so many. In the Ganesh, if you want success, you worship Ganesh. Of course, Lord Shiva. You will find so many things. Even many of the temples, Hindu temples. That's what you see. You see so many demigods. In the West, in Africa, in America also, there are many Hindu temples. And those Hindu temples, they are like supermarkets. They're like supermarket of all the demigods. Anything you want, they are there. They have all these big temples, but they are big supermarket. Everything, every imaginable demigods are there. You just have to go there, and make your choice. So everyone think, because people don't want to worship Krishna, they don't want to worship God. Why? Because they heard that his name is Hari, the one who takes away everything. You worship him, it's gonna make you become poverty-stricken. So why should I worship Hari? Hari means stealing. He's going to steal whatever you have. Of course, in the Gita, Krishna does say that actually my devotee, I take care of them. If someone become my devotee, whatever he has, I preserve, and then whatever he doesn't have, I personally carry and deliver to my devotees. The Lord does say that in the Bhagavad-Gita. But in general, people are saying that no, because when people tend to see devotees of Krishna or Vishnu as being poverty-stricken. So because they see devotees as being poverty-stricken, they will say that, why should I worship God? Why should I worship Krishna and become poverty-stricken? At best, I should worship Lakshmanarayana, because if I worship Lakshmanarayana, I will get I will get blessing of Mother Lakshmi. She will give me money if you worship Lakshmanarayana. So therefore, the Lakshmanarayana temple, they are much more famous than Krishna temple. Even here in India, there are not too many Krishna temples, apart from Vrindavan, Mayapur, and maybe apart from ISKCON temple in general, apart from ISKCON temple, because we are building temples all over India, and in the Krishna temple. Apart from ISKCON temple, all the temple, nobody worships. You don't see Krishna temple that much. Not too many. You don't see. I know there's a Bilaman thing where they have Lord Krishna, but Lord Krishna temples are very, very rare in India. There was one time Lord Shiva, he actually asked Lord Krishna, he said that I need a benediction from you. I want to be more worshipped than you. So Lord Shiva asked Lord Krishna that. He said, I want to be more worshipped than you. So the Lord asked Shiva that, okay, you can be more worshipped than me. So the Lord said that, why you ask me, why this benediction? Because Lord Shiva said that people who claim to be your devotee, they are not really your devotee, they are just pretenders. Normally people come to you with all their offensive mentality. So therefore, they should worship me. I rather let them then I purify them. And then when they become purified, then they can become fit to really be a devotee. Because after all, Lord Shiva is almost as good as the Lord himself, because it's called Shambhu is like a transformation of the Supreme Lord. But still, it's still in the category of demigods. So there was one time, one person, he went to Lord Shiva, and he performed, because Lord Shiva, his name is Ashutosh. Ashutosh, he easily become very pleased. So worship, to get attention of Lord Shiva it's not so difficult. Once you chant Om Namah Shivaya, you worship Shiva Linga, Lord Shiva normally, grant your wish. So this person was worshiping Lord Shiva, Om Namah Shivaya, worshiping Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva appeared to him, and Lord Shiva asked him that, what do you want? He said, well, I want you to give me a benediction that whatever I touch become gold. Whatever I touch turns to gold. Chintamani. Whatever I touch turns to gold. So Lord Shiva granted his wish. Okay, sure, okay. I fulfill your desire. Anything you touch become gold. So this person was very happy. So he was going about. He touched a tree, and the tree became gold. He said, oh, this is great, this is wonderful. So when he went to his house, it became a golden house. So everything he touched, everything becoming gold, everything becoming gold. And then his wife, everybody's very happy. So his wife came to bring food to him to eat. So he tried to eat food. The food become goldy. So the food become gold. He cannot eat gold. And then he has his small daughter. So the daughter runs, say, Daddy, come and sit on his lap. And then it had to embrace the daughter. The daughter became golden statue. So now this is the benediction I received. So it started becoming, so what is this? What kind of benediction I'm getting from Lord Shiva? Everything I'm touching is becoming gold. The food is becoming gold. My daughter become gold. What is this? So this will become a big frustration to begin. Big source of frustration to him. So he ran back to Lord Shiva. Please, Lord Shiva, please, take back your benediction. Anything I touch becoming gold, I cannot eat. My daughter become gold. Everything, please take back. So, because people don't know, because they think that by worshiping various demigods, their desire will get fulfillment, and then they will get ultimate satisfaction. But they always end up being frustrated. So therefore, one of our acharya, actually Srila Baladev Vidyaprasad, it's same verse, he commented on this same verse, that he said that those who have become foolish, because of their many desires, normally because, one become foolish out of many desires out of many materialistic desires. So they worship various devotees, adopting various rules under the control of their individual desires. Then he said, it has just been stated that even those who worship the Supreme Lord with material desires become liberated by the power of devotion to Him. But those who worship devotees because of desire for immediate happiness continue to take birth. This is explained in the 4 verses. With various desires, such as desire for relief from suffering, they become devoid of intelligence, Rita Gyan, thinking that the sun god and others can quickly destroy sickness or other problems, but that Vishnu cannot. So Rita Gyan means people who have lost all intelligence. They thus worship the demigods. They follow particular rules, Tonton Yaman, controlled by their individual impressions. This means that their impressions are such that it makes them opposed to surrender to Krishna. Very well. So people, because of their uncontrolled material desires, so they lose all their intelligence. They become polluted. So everything's, and then so therefore they think that yes, let me just worship various demigods for the fulfillment of my particular desires. But people, there's always frustration. There's always, and also another difficulty is that sometimes when one worships one demigod, one has to make sure that another demigod is not pleased, is not displaced. Because one may start to step on some other foot. You turn to please somebody, and then you find yourself displeasing another person. So while one demigod may be fulfilling your desires, another demigod may be giving you problems, punishing you, because you've stepped onto their territory. And also sometimes the mantras that you are chanting, if it's not done properly, can be counterproductive. Just like in the Bhagavad-Gita, in the Canto 6, we will find in the story of a Twashta who was he was trying to satisfy the demigods because they want him to get someone to kill Indra. They want an entity to kill Indra. So he was chanting a mantra of Indra's enemy. Somebody will be able to kill Indra because Indra had killed the son of Twashta, who was supposed to be the priest of the priest of the demons. So Indra killed him because Indra killed him. So the demons they wanted a revenge. So then Twashta was was the priest. So he was chanting the mantra for a person to kill Indra. But because the mantra was not being chanted, the proper inflection of chanting, the proper meter, swarat, it's called a swarit, the proper meter is not been done properly. So instead of him being able to get the person that can kill Indra, he simply get a person by whom is Indra's enemy, which means this is a person who can be killed by Indra as a result. So as a result, we have that story of Vitrasura, who appeared from the sacrifice. But Vitrasura, even though he was very, very powerful personality, but he was killed by Indra. And of course, Vitrasura was actually a devotee previously, but somehow he became a demon by some arrangement, anyway. So that's a long story itself. So, but the problem is always there when one is trying to invoke the particular demigod for the fulfillment of desires. But those who are actually more intelligence, who actually have the real intelligence, they see the need to worship the Lord. Even though it's not that one has to be desireless to come out to go and worship the Lord. One can be full of desires. If you understand that, yes, everything is coming, if you know that there's a source of everything, and one can actually develop a faith that, yes, everything is coming from the Lord, so that I can approach Him, and the Lord will fulfill all my desires. The famous verse which Prabhupada quoted, that Akama Sava Kamova, Mokshika Udaradi, Tivina bhakti-yoga, Yajita and Purushamparan, that if one have no desires, Akama, or Savakama, have all desires, or Akama Mokshakama, or desire liberation, that still one should worship the Supreme Lord, one should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because, first of all, He is the root. Without Him, the demigods will not fulfill one desire. Because He's the one that gives the demigods authority to fulfill one's desire. But the living entity did not know this. So they think that, by worshiping the demigods, I can get all my desire fulfilled. But the demigods, they are simply instruments. They are simply departmental heads of a particular section of the the universal management. But still, the demigods, they will get the license authority only from the Lord before they can fulfill anyone's desire. So demigods will not really independently fulfill anyone's desires. But people don't know this. So in Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter 31, text 14 says, Yata taro mula nisichanina, tripyanti te skanda bujopashakaha, pranopaharas cha yatindriyanam, tataiva sabaranam achutigya. So, as pouring water on the root of a tree energizes the bark, branches, twigs, and everything else, and as supplying food to the stomach enlivens the senses and limbs of the body, simply worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service automatically satisfies the demigods who are parts of that Supreme Personality. So by watering the root of a tree, the whole tree is energized. So which means and because the Lord is the root, by worshiping Him, all the demigods become happy. All the demigods become happy by worshiping the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada wrote here in the purport, he says, sometimes people ask why this Krishna consciousness movement simply advocates worship of Krishna to the exclusion of the demigods. The answer is given in this verse. The example of pouring water on the root of a tree is very appropriate. In Bhagavad-Gita 15.1, it is said, Uda Moolam Adhashakam, this cosmic manifestation has expanded downward, and the root is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the Lord confirms in Bhagavad-Gita 10.8, Aham Savasya Prabhava, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Krishna is the root of everything. Therefore, rendering service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna Seva, means automatically serving all the demigods. Sometimes it is argued that karma and jnana require a mixture of bhakti in order to be successfully executed. And sometimes it is argued that bhakti also requires karma and jnana for its successful termination. The fact is, however, that although karma and jnana cannot be successful without bhakti, bhakti does not require the help of karma and jnana. Actually, as described by Srila Rupa Goswami, Anya Bilasita Sunyam Jnana Karmadhyanavitam, pure devotional service should not be contaminated by the touch of karma and jnana. Modern society is involved in various types of philanthropic works, humanitarian works, and so on, but people do not know that these activities will never be successful unless Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is brought into the center. One may ask, what harm is there in worshipping Krishna and the different parts of his body, the demigods? And the answer is also given in this verse. The point is that by supplying food to the stomach, the indriya, the senses, are automatically satisfied. If one tries to feed his eyes or ears independently, the result is only havoc. Simply by supplying food to the stomach, we satisfy all of the senses. It is neither satisfactory nor feasible to render separate service to the individual senses. The conclusion is that by serving Krishna Seva, everything is complete. As confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Bhakti Koile, Sava Kramakita Hoy. If one is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything is automatically accomplished. So this point is emphasized throughout all the scriptures, all the Bhakti scriptures. Even in the Vedanta Sutra, compiled by Srila Vyasadeva, that even stating that when the Vedas, when they recommend the worship, when they mention the worship of different devas, like Agni or Indra, or different Ganesh, even when the Vedas is making a reference to all those demigods and the particular mantra is being invoked, but actually the real intention of the Vedas is to show the divinities that yes, the Agni is actually indicating Krishna. Agni or Chandra or Surya, Ganesh, they all are different manifestations of the Supreme Lord. They all actually referring to that Supreme Being only, not that particular, demigod that, who actually is before. It's just like if a minister, just like if an ambassador of a country comes to the place, when that ambassador is representing the president of the country, he's not there on his own. It's simply representation. So but of course, those who don't have the real intelligence, why is that they don't have intelligence? Because the intelligence is lost by materialistic desires. Because as it says, the cause of material desires is due to ignorance, the ignorance of one's identity. So the intelligence is lost, and they won't think that, oh, let me just worship this, let me worship that. But those who have developed intelligence, even though one may be with all desires, still, the Shastra said that one should worship the Lord. Because you worship Him, everything is complete. Whereas if you deviate from that, the chaos can arise. Just like the story of Lord Shiva, which I mentioned, that, who Lord Shiva gave a benediction, but the benediction, came to be a source of problem, a source of worry for the receiver of the benediction. You want to be able to touch anything that he touches become gold, and then everything can become gold, but you cannot eat, you cannot have family life, you can't do anything. So what is the value? So the benediction become a source of worry, like that. So we have many stories like that, and also, of course, as our Goswamis have written, that sometimes one may worship the Devi or the Lord Shiva, and sometimes they actually turn the desires up in the opposite. Just like Sanatana Goswami, he was writing, when he was writing the Bhagavad-Gita. So this person was in Kamakedesh. Kamakedesh is in Assam. There's a temple there. Kamakedevi temple is there in Assam, in Guwahati. So this person was worshiping the Devi because he want to have materialistic. He has material desires. He want to be rich and all that. So he was worshiping the Devi, worshiping her. But the Devi did manifest himself to this Brahmana. She manifests herself to this Brahmana, but what the Devi did was that she gave a mantra to this Brahmana to chant. That, my dear Brahmana, you chant this mantra. You will attain success, you will get all your desires fulfilled. But by chanting, because this person has a faith in the Devi, by taking the mantra, which happened to be a Gopa mantra, this Brahmana, instead of getting his materialistic desire fulfilled, he became desireless. And then he started, looking out for Krishna. Started looking out for Krishna. Eventually came to Vrindavan, met Gopal Kumar, and then from there, very ecstatic stories, began from there. So sometimes, great demigods like Lord Shiva and his wife Parvati Devi, sometimes by worshiping them, they can actually turn one's desires on the opposite way. Because they can see the sincerity. Okay, this person should not be wasting any time in this material world. So let me give this person the ultimate fulfillment of desires. So that can happen sometimes, but it's not always the case. So as they say in this verse which we are reading today, that Kamasta Tadita Jnana, Papandi Anya Devata, that those who are foolish, whose intelligence who actually lost their intelligence, they worship the demigods. So Lord Krishna is going to be in the next three verses, the laws. So we will explain that how those demigods they don't really have particular independence to fulfill one's desire. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. If there's some questions, okay. Some question? You can ask question.
Question and a comment. The speaker on today's Zoom class we usually listen to is making a point at the beginning. I was saying that if we have material desires, we cannot receive Krishna, or we cannot establish a relationship with Krishna. I remember years ago, Satsuma Maharaj wrote this book, Japa Reform Book, and he talked about there's that intermediate zone between stepping out of material life and stepping onto the spiritual platform.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was thinking, we have leading devotees in ISKCON, Session Prabhu, Priyavada Prabhu, who have their sports activities. There's no harm. I remember a lot of people were talking about this. What somebody doing golfing, what is somebody doing scuba diving, etc. But the desire for material enjoyment is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're told, okay, if one pursues activities like that on the side from time to time, as long as it's not breaking the regular principles, as long as we're continuing our devotional service, do things like that prevent us from becoming Krishna conscious? Do they slow down the process? Because it's kind of unnatural just to take away material enjoyment. Something's been feverishly pursuing for 20, 30, 40 years. Take everything away, and you don't give them a higher taste. You don't give them a positive engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So in many cases, this is what causes so many devotees to just abandon everything, never to be seen again. So what to do between abandoning material life and taking up spiritual life, and when you're in that tasteless zone, or when you don't have access to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because why the devotees sometimes everybody still have their baggage, which comes from their materialistic, like the baggage means including all those propensities. This is all part of the anattas, which has not yet been cleansed. So because the anattas is not being cleansed, the attachment to one's materialistic propensity is still there. So, devotees are attached to sports or, many things like that. Because the anatta is not cleansed, until the anatta is cleansed, there will be no taste for the holy name. There will be no ashakti. Ashakti means attachment to the Lord. Because for one who has developed taste, who has developed ashakti, all those, there will be no time for all those things. There will be no time for frivolity. That will not be there anymore, But, such devotees are very, very rare. As they say, Lord Krishna says, Sa Mahatma Sudulabha. For one who has given up all attachment and who has developed attachment to me, he says such a person is very, very rare. So, yeah, we may call ourselves devotees, but the point of what kind of devotees are we? To be a real devotee of Krishna, it's extremely rare thing. So that's something we always have to understand. And of course, everyone is trying, everyone is doing their best, Everyone is saying that okay, maybe it may not be this life, maybe next life, some other life, they will come to the higher stage. So in this way, we are there, we all have different samskara that is still there within us. And we cannot cheat ourselves thinking that yes, we have attained the highest stage of Krishna consciousness. We are so advanced, cheating ourselves, and we still have all these, all these propensities. So that is actually a cheating stage, and our sincerity will actually be measured when we start becoming sincere to ourselves.
There's some part of the Gita where Prabhupada writes, if one follows the regular principles, they will retain a desire to make progress. Like, where is that?
Well,
that's the Gita thing. I read that somewhere.
Of course it's there in the Gita, but one is to follow the regulatory principles. We have our basic regulatory principles. There's also the regulatory principles of devotional service, which Srila Rupa Goswami mentioned in Nectar Devotion. There are 64 of them, which devotees are required to follow, but devotees don't even care to study those principles. See, the 4 basic regulatory principles just to make us human, to make us a human being. But to really practice devotional service, there are principles of devotional service that we're supposed to follow. And our acharyas, they've clearly written in their scripture, in their writings. We have the nectar of instruction, Upadesharamrita, those 11 verses, which Srila Rupa Goswami wrote, by which what can actually make you a devotee. So, and of course, a serious devotee would desire an association with an advanced devotees. So, even though we may be full of all kind of bad propensities, all kind of anattas, but if you are humble enough and we seek the association of advanced devotees means a person who have actually developed a taste for what we are talking about, a taste for the Harinam, a taste for Sadhu Sangha, who actually have a taste and developing some kind of same thing, some kind of feelings for the Lord. If we are able to associate with such persons, then our anattas can be gradually, gradually diminished. So this is something that we really have to work on. Is like, It's like, as they say, spiritual life is like a constant struggle, which means we really have to learn how to fight within ourselves. That yes, do I really want to attain Krishna? And what is it what is it to attain Krishna? So which means we really have to be ready, basically to develop, as I say, to become to develop a battle, against Maya, like that. So, okay. Another question? Points? Yeah.
About the pronunciation you say. Here in the morning, to see our Mangalacharya, we see the pronunciation is totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So, who can correct that? And how you can ask them to chant correctly?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, people come from all kinds of background. Everybody have ISKCON movement is a big, it's a worldwide movement. It's not just one particular sector of people. We have all kinds of people. Even not at all, let's say even here in India, you have Marathis, you have Oriyas, you have Bengalis, you have South Indian, Tamilians, Keralans, you have here in North India, Punjabis, whatever. All kinds of people. They all have different type of pronunciation. So with, just like when you hear the Bengalis when they chant or the Oriya, because I spent a lot of time in Bengal. I was there for 12 years. So when they sing, they have their pronunciation differently. Whereas people in North India, they all have different pronunciation. So if you are used to your particular way, and you think that, oh, maybe this is Bengalis or they're not pronouncing properly, it's not their fault, that is your fault. Because you are thinking that they should pronounce just like you do. So, not to talk of people like us who come from the West. So, and coming from the West also, we have different people also. You have the Americans, you have the Europeans, then you have the Africans. Everybody is different. Everybody have different pronunciation. But what is most important is the Lord said, which is actually one of the favorite sloka of Prabhupada. There's one verse which ends with Baba Jana Baba Grahi Janadana, that the Lord is only pleased with the intention. Even though you may pronounce something, it may mean something different, Like sometimes let's say Guru means good, but some people may say Gora. Gora means cow. But your intention is actually to say Guru, So the Lord only look at the intention. The Lord does not look at how you say it. It's just like a child. When a child is calling, they're mumbling, they're stammering, trying to, But the parent, the father is very pleased because he knows he knows the intention of the child. So the father come running, even though the child is not pronouncing properly. So similarly, also we are saying the prayers, we are not saying correctly. Everybody knows that, but the Lord, He only look at the intention that is behind it, and that's what's important. Not how we say it, but it's our intention.
We have a devotee in Canada who had a stroke many years ago, and he has to chant on his left hand. And when we listen to him, what is he saying? What is he saying?
Yeah, so it's his intention, the heart that is there. So that's what we have to look at. It's not that we cannot. It's not our duty to be trying to correct person. It's how we are approaching the Lord. It's our sincerity that determines it, not so much how we are pronouncing. We cannot. This is Kali Yuga. We can't pronounce properly. This is Kali Yuga. But the laws, the laws know us better than we know ourselves.
Learning is very important. So when you hear something different, you get disturbed.
But that is you. If you think that if you are dependent on what you are hearing, but somebody else is hearing differently, So that's what I'm saying again. Baba Jana Grahi Baba Janandana is, Chaitanya Prabhu was discussing with Ishwara Puri. So that time Ishwara Puri had composed some plays. He had written some composition of Lord Krishna called, there's one book called Sri Krishna Lilamrita, which he had composed by Ishwara Puri. So when Ishwara was in Navadip, and that time he was staying with in the house of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So some verses he had written, and they asked Mahaprabhu that, because you know that Mahaprabhu is a big scholar, the biggest scholar. So he asked him that, look at these verses, and just see if there's something that is not correct. Maybe you can correct it. Look at these verses. Maybe it may be wrongly composed or something like that. So Mahaprabhu replied and said, no, you're a pure devotee of Krishna. How can your words be incorrect? Even if your composition is incorrect, still, because your intention is to glorify Krishna, so therefore it's perfect. And anyone who criticizes that, such a person is of hellish mentality. Such a person is committing offense. Anyone who dare to criticize. That's why they say that one should never try to correct the sayings or the writings of pure devotees. One should never try to do that. If one do that, it's offensive. So we really have to, we have to say our mentality that, it's like we try to beat the Lord ourselves. The problem is us. The problem is not somebody else who's not correcting, who's not composing correctly. Try to hear the Chinese trying to say Krishna. You'd be frustrated. Trying to hear the Russians or the South Americans, everybody. Some people can't even pronounce Hare. Hare is difficult to pronounce for some people. They say it differently. You say, oh, what are they saying? So it's like that. So don't be disturbed because you're not hearing correctly what somebody is saying. The person is not saying things because to please you. The person is saying things is calling out the Lord, not you. He's calling out the Lord. So if Krishna is pleased, who cares who is not pleased? If Krishna is pleased. Okay? All right, so anyway, thank you very much. So you can stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki, Krishna Balaram ki, Hare Krishna.